Hey everyone, welcome back to another video. Today I'm going to be talking about a new platform, or at least one that's new to me, that's called Tradier. So I was recently commenting on Hacker News about what I'm doing with this channel, and one of the founders of Tradier actually reached out to me and said he'd be interested in hearing my feedback about the platform. So I thought I'd do exactly that and create a little tutorial about how to use this platform using Python, just like we've done with other brokerages in the past. So before we dive in, let's talk about what Tradier is. I just tried it out this week for the first time. So you see here, I'm on the homepage at tradier.com, and it looks like they provide a REST-based open and secure API for investors, advisors, and traders. And if you scroll down here, it looks like they provide a number of APIs that are available to you as a developer. You get a brokerage API, so you can easily buy and sell stocks and execute orders using their API. And also what's interesting is this market data API, which provides easy access to real-time and delayed market data, including intraday, historical, and streaming data. So you get all of this together and it's perfect. It's just similar to a site like Alpaca, right, that I've covered previously. It gives you API access to powerful financial data and brokerage APIs. So it's perfect for building something like an automated trading bot. So that sounds great, but what is that going to cost me? So I'm going to click Learn More here, and I checked out their pricing, and it looks like you can do commission-free stock trading, so $0 per order, similar to everyone else these days pretty much. And you can also trade options with their API, which is something Alpaca doesn't offer, and those cost 35 cents per contract, which I believe is cheaper than TD Ameritrade. I think they charge 65 cents per contract. So there's some interesting options here for options trading. Right. So that looks like you can do that for free, basically. And then they also offer a subscription plan. So it looks like it's $30 a month. And that provides commission-free equity trading and commission-free options trading. And the reason why that's really great is there's actually a viewer out there who emailed me regarding trading options, right? And he wanted to, I think he wants to place a lot of iron condor trades, which involves placing lots and lots of option orders. And he wants to do that every week and paying 65 cents to Ameritrade per options contract for a multi-legged options order. And doing that with thousands of contracts is actually, pretty expensive if he wants to build some automated strategy based on that. But if you're able to pay $30 a month to get unlimited free option trading, then, that's basically nothing. That's a really good deal, and it's the perfect plan to implement some kind of automated options trading system. So in today's tutorial, I thought I'd try out the Tradier API, show you how to get up and running using an access token, how to retrieve market data using Tradier, and also how to place some stock and option orders. And I thought I'd try a multi-legged option order as well this time to see how that works using Tradier. Before I dive into the tutorial, I do want to say that they did provide me an affiliate code. So if you want to support the channel, this affiliate code will actually waive this subscription fee, this $30 a month. You can get free option trading and equity trading for 60 days for free just to try this out to see if you like it. They'll waive the subscription fee. So if you click open an account here and you sign up, they gave me the affiliate code PTL 2020. So enter that in if you decide to sign up, and it would help support me in this channel. PTL, I guess that's part-time Larry. Love it. So yeah, it doesn't hurt you to try it out for 60 days. So with that introduction out of the way, let's dive into writing some Python code. All right, so let's see if we can get up and running first. So I'm on the Tradier.com website, and I'm going to click on documentation. And if I click on the brokerage API, for instance, you can see all of the different features that are available. So you have profile, balances, positions, activity. There's trading for equity options and multi-legged option orders and advanced orders. And also there's market data for equity options and so forth. And there's different levels of accounts. So there's developer sandbox and brokerage account. And it looks like brokerage account, which I just signed up for, has a lot more features. So I'm going to be using a brokerage account, but it also gives you access to paper trading and a sandbox. So you'll actually have two different tokens. One is a sandbox, so it's a paper trading API, which has its own endpoint. That way you can test things out and it doesn't cost you real money there. But if you have a brokerage account, you can actually place real trades, make money, and so forth, and own real stocks. So I'm using a brokerage account just because it gives me both options, and it also gives me this real-time data, which I'm very interested in. I don't necessarily want delayed data, but if you're just testing things out the first time, the developer sandbox is fine. So I'm using the brokerage account to get started. And they've sent me an API token and an account ID that I'm going to use to authenticate. So the first thing you want to do with any of these APIs is figure out how to authenticate and how to make sure any requests you're sending are tied to your account. So I have an account ID and an access token, and I'm going to show you how to use those to authenticate against the Sandbox account first, right? So if I go into the API endpoints, there's a section on authentication. And there's a section on endpoints. And so you see the brokerage API, use api.tradier.com. So that's with when you're using the real money. And if you're in the sandbox and you're just trying things out, use the sandbox for paper trading. And that's where you just virtually test ideas and see the results. So let's start out with the Sandbox API. So I have a new Visual Studio Code file here. You can use whatever editor you want. I use Visual Studio Code. It's free. And so I'm going to create a new folder. So let's see, I'm going to open, and I'm going to create a new folder, and I'm just going to call it Tradier API, right? And so I'm going to start from scratch, and you see I have a new folder open, no files yet, and I'm going to create a file called config.py. And this is where I'll put my configuration information. So since it needs an access token, I'll define it, and I'm just going to use all capitals since it's a constant. And this is going to have some access token. And I'm not going to show this on the video, but you fill it in with your access token, right? And then you need an account ID. And that's going to have some value like, ABC123, right? And you can fill that in with your own information. And then I'll also have an API base URL. And I'm going to set that equal to sandbox.tradier.com like that. And then whenever we want to switch over to our brokerage account, we can just change this endpoint in one place. All right, so with our config file out of the way, the next thing I'll do is I'll click New File, and I'm going to create a file called tradier.py, and I'll import the config. And I'm also going to import the package requests that we use in all of our videos pretty much, and that's going to be used to make HTTP requests to the Tradier API. So if you didn't have it for whatever reason, you can do pip install requests, and that will install the package. I already have it installed. All right, and just to test this out real quick, I'll do config. I'm just going to print the API base URL and make sure our script runs and we have everything we need. So I'm going to hit my play button, and it runs. And you see it prints sandbox.tradier.com/v1. So you can see I'm importing my config values. So now that we have our access token set up, let's see if we can send an authenticated request to the Tradier Sandbox API. So I'm going to go over to the developer documentation. If you scroll down, our hello world example that we've been using has just been to get a stock quote, right? So if I click get quotes, you scroll down and it looks like they have this URL V1 markets quotes. So I will just paste that in there. And it looks like it requires some headers, and an authorization header specifically that's required. And so that is a bearer token. And we have an access token, right? And so we're going to use that. And if we scroll down, what's nice is they provide a lot of code examples in multiple programming languages. So if you're using Java, Ruby, PHP, Go, but we're using Python. So I like that they have a lot of examples for different programming languages, right? So let's see if we can just copy this. I've already imported requests. So I'll put their little snippet in here. And it looks like this is using the brokerage API. I'm using the sandbox first. So I'm going to set a variable. And I'm going to use a string format here. And looks like our variable already has this sandbox tradier.com/v1. And so we only really need this markets quotes part, right? And I'm going to use my string formatting to fill in the rest. So I'm going to do format, and I'll do config.api base URL. And that'll fill in this part with v1, and then we just need this markets quotes. And if you want to just type the whole thing in the string, that's fine. The whole endpoint's cool. And it looks like you can send in some parameters, and these are URL encoded, I believe. So let's see how this works. So you send in a symbol, and you also send in a bearer token. So in our headers here, right, we'll have headers equals, and this is a dictionary, and then we need authorization. So one of our keys is authorization, right? And so I'm going to just split this up a little bit. Authorization bearer and accept application JSON, right? And for the token here, I'll do that, and I'll do .format config access token. And I need a little placeholder here. And so basically this builds a string with our access token in our headers. So I'll do headers equals headers, and that's fine. And I'll just do symbols, and I'll try Apple as a quote, and that sounds good. And yeah, let's see if we get a response and fix it if anything goes wrong. So I'm going to delete this little line that I copied in here and delete this print, right? And so we have a URL, request.get. Oh, and I'm also going to put URL, which I built up here, pass in the headers and the symbols, and let's see what happens. So I'm going to run this again. We run it, and you see, very easy, right? I got a 200 success code, and I have this dictionary, this JSON, with a quote for Apple stock. And it looks like it opened at 300 this morning. So I'm running this live, and we have a high of 306, and the market hasn't closed yet. And let me do Tesla real quick, just because that's a popular one. Run it again, get a stock quote for Tesla, right? And it looks like open at 790, and I have TradingView open, and that's the reason I pulled it up as well with this particular stock. So here is Tesla. You see it's trading a little over 800 a share right now. And I've been playing with this super trend indicator here. So you see it kind of detects a trend. So it gives you a buy point there and a sell right there. So that's something cool to play around with later. But I just wanted to compare the quotes I'm getting from Tradier against another system just to verify that everything we're doing is correct, right? So we have a Tesla a little over 800. And we also have, yeah, looks like we have a bid and ask at about 802 right here. I think we're getting some delay in the quote since we're using the sandbox. So yeah, we've authenticated our first request against Tradier, and we're able to get a stock quote. So what's next? So we said we're interested in options data. So let's see if we can get some options quotes. So I'm going to go to the endpoints here, and let's go under market data. And this is really cool. Very easy to get an option chain or an option strike. Lots of options features here, right? And so get an option chain. Similar, we can get the option chain for a symbol. And I'll just take this. So we have Python here, right? And let's see. I'm going to take these parameters, and we're also going to see if we can get some options information. So our endpoint here would be markets options chains. So I'll just do, let's say, options URL, and we can make some functions for this later. I'm just typing it in like this. I'll do format config dot API base URL. So that'll be our options URL. So I'll use request.get options URL, and I'll give it a symbol. It looks like, yeah. So you can just give it a stock symbol, and it'll just dump all of the options available for a particular expiration date. So we can do the symbol Tesla, and also let's get the expiration date of, let's do next week sometime. So let's do May 22nd, which would be next Friday. And so let's see if I can do an expiration of 2020, May 22nd. Send in my headers. Yeah, let's see if that works. So I'm going to print this response too, and I'm going to run it. And I got a 400 right there. What did I do wrong? Oh, I put an S, so it looks like it takes just a single symbol. That makes sense. So I can't get multiple options changed at once. I just want to do one symbol, and then let's run this one more time. And I got an OK. So I'm going to print the response.json again. And let's see if we can get the option chain data for Tesla stock. And there we go. We have a whole lot of data here. And so I'm going to see if I can echo this information to a file. So I'm going to get rid of these print statements for the stock quote. And yeah, let's see if we can use this information to buy an option. So I'm going to print this response.json, and then I'm going to echo this. I'm going to use this little arrow and echo this into a file called tesla.text. And it'll write this little file. It'll output it to a file, tesla.text. And then now I have all this information in a text file. And I'm going to massage this a little bit just to make it look like JSON. So I'm going to do a find and replace real quick. I'm just going to pretty print this so that we can read it a little better. So I'm going to do a replace all. So I'm going to replace all the quotes there with double quotes. And let's see, I think it has the word none in here. So this is a Python dictionary actually, but I can convert it to JSON pretty easily. So I'm going to change all the nones to null, right? And if I do that, let's see, place none with null. Okay, I did that. And then now if I prettify it, cool. There we go. So you can see this is nicely formatted. So you see I have this options key right here. And then there's a big list of options here. So option, so it looks like we can get May 22nd, looks like a put, $100 put, the 100 strike price put on Tesla for May 22nd. If we scroll down, this is all May 22nd options for Tesla. And so let's just find one we're interested in. And let's say we're bullish on Tesla. Looks like it's in an uptrend, whatever. It's very volatile stock. So let's say we think Tesla is going to be over 850 by the end of next week, right? And so if I look through this for the 850, so let's see if we can find it. 850 call, right? And so we got a symbol here for an 850 call. And so I'm going to grab that guy and I'm going to put that into my Tradier.py. And so we can save this for our, let's just call it Tesla call symbol, right? Put that in a variable and it's ready to go. And you'll see, let's see what we got as far as the quote. So yeah, let's see what other information it gives us about the Tesla 850 call. So it's an option, right? And it shows the last price of it. So we have option pricing data. So it looks like that would cost me $10.95 times 100. So it's going to cost me over $1,000 to do this. We have the volume, open, high, low, close. So the low was 970, and we have a bid and ask price, our strike price, and yeah, the typical information that you would expect. Expiration date, it's a weekly call. So yeah, let's see if we can use this symbol to execute an option order using the Tradier API. So I got my symbol, and let's see, we're going to go up here. We got market data now, so let's see if we can place an option order. All right. So we got this endpoint v1 accounts, account ID. So this one we need to use the account ID that we have in our config file, right? So I'm going to take that guy and put it there. And then let's look at all the different parameters required. So we have an account ID that's in our config file, right? We have a class. We'll see what that looks like, the kind of order being placed. So it's an option order, right? It's a class of type option. We need a symbol and an option symbol. Okay, cool. Let's see what we can do. So let's see the example it gives us in Python, right? And let's see if we can fill this in. So it looks like it's a post request. So I'm going to take this guy, put it here. So response equals request.post, and then we'll make a new variable called option order URL equals, right? And then we'll format this, and then we'll put this guy, this accounts / order. And this account ID we're going to need, that's from our config file. So I'm going to do .format config.api-based URL config.account ID. So it'll fill in my account ID into this URL, and we can post it to make an order with our account, right? And so I got that. I'm going to replace it, option order URL. I'm posting to the option order URL. I want to buy an option. I want to buy symbol Tesla. And the option symbol I want to buy is this one right here. I specifically want the 850 call option for May 22nd. So I'm going to fill in this with the variable Tesla call symbol. And the side, I'm going to do buy to open. I want to open a buy of the call order. And sure, let's see if this works with a quantity of 10. I'm not sure how much my account balance is. For the paper trading account, there's some account URLs, so I can probably check what the balance is. I don't know. The alpaca starts you with like $100,000 or $200,000 in your paper trading account. We'll see if this goes through. Yeah, sure. Type market, and we give it a price. I don't think the price matters if it's a market order. So it looks like we can do type limit probably as well, I would assume. Yeah, so type, you can do market, limit, stop, or stop limit. I'm going to do a limit order, and then we'll do it a price. Let's say we want it filled for $10, and I'm going to do no stop. And let's see if we can execute this. Let's see what happens. So I'm going to clear that out. I'm going to run it. Oh, I'll actually print out the response as well. Oh, and then headers. We want our headers. And then I think we're good to go. So I'm going to print response.json again. And let's see what happens. So I will comment out this big payload, this response from the option chain, just so we see just what we're interested in. All right, I run it. And oh, oops, that's not. All right, that's my old command. All right, I'm going to run this. All right, so it said order is okay, and it gives me an order ID. So I think we ordered an option. Let's see how that looks. So we're using an API right now, so we don't have a UI. I believe Tradier has a UI for their brokerage account where we'd be able to look, but in the Sandbox, I think it's just API access only. But we have so much power with the API, we could even build our own UI if we wanted to. So let me show you. Let's see if we can retrieve some information about our account and our orders. So under this account API here, we have this get orders, right? And view1 account, account ID order. So it's the same as the order post, but it's a get. So we can post to create an order. So if we do a get request on the same endpoint, it will actually retrieve our orders that we've already placed. So I'm just going to comment out this one, and we have our option order URL already. And I'm just going to call it, I'm going to keep it more generic and call it order URL, because it looks like you can use the same URL for any type of order. You just send in a different class. So you would probably send class like equity or something to place a regular common stock order. So I'm just going to use order URL since it's more general, right? Post order URL. Okay, cool. And then I'll comment out this part, and let's see if we make a get request to the same URL, order URL. And then we give it our headers equals headers. Let's see if we can get some information about our orders. So I'll do orders equals request.get and print orders.json, and let's see what we got. So I'm going to run that. And whoa, lots of stuff. Oh, it's printing out the old request here from the option chain. I don't want that. Got too much information, TMI. All right, so I'm gonna clear that out, run it, and let's see if we can get our orders. Cool, there's a list of orders, it looks like, associated with our account. So I got that JSON here, and I'm gonna dump this here and just see what it looks like. So you see we have a type limit order associated with our account for our Tesla stock, buy to open, and the status is still open right now. So it probably hasn't got filled yet. So that price might be 1050 or something like that. So we haven't got filled yet. But yeah, let's see if we can do a market order real quick. I probably wouldn't normally do that on, a Tesla option, but let's just see if we can get one filled. Yeah, let's see if can we do like a market order? Yeah, let's see how that goes. So I'm going to do request.post, and let's see what happens there. So I'll print this response and see if we can get our market order in. And it gives me the okay there. So that seems all right. I'm going to order one more quantity just to see if we can vary it a little bit. I'm going to do a 3. And I'm going to leave out the price since it shouldn't even need a price since it's a market order. So yeah, let's just do the bare bones what we need. So I'm going to run it one more time for 3 at market. And it gives me the okay again for order ID 382475. All right. And so now that that's done, I'll comment this out. And now let me get my orders again. And I run it. And looks like we got a number of orders picking up now. And so let's see our order of 3. So I'm going to look for order 382475. And I found it in here. And let's just isolate that one, 382475, right? And I'll get that guy. And let's see if we have some information. So we got our option symbol, the option, we know when it was placed, and last fill quantity was 3. So we did get filled here at a price of 1090. So we just said, buy me the option now. So we bought 3 Tesla options, and that order was filled. So yeah, that's great. I'm very happy with this. Like, this was pretty easy, right? We authenticated very easily. That was easy to figure out. We made a request. We got a stock quote. we got options chains, and we also were able to place an option order. And I'm going to say this was infinitely simpler than using TD Ameritrade API, because using TD Ameritrade API, if you tried it just using raw HTTP requests, it's like impossible to figure out. It'll take you a long time. So that took like some open source guy writing a special package, a special Python library, just to wrap it up in an intuitive way. Whereas this, I just use the raw HTTP requests, and it's very easy to figure out. I didn't rely on any special libraries. I just use Python requests, made an HTTP request, and we're ordering options already. So fantastic. Yeah, so that's pretty much it. This is my out-of-box experience with the Tradier API, and I thought it was great. What did it take, like 15 minutes starting from empty notepad, and all of a sudden we're ordering Tesla 850 call options for next week. So, I mean, look how easy that was to do. I had never really tried this before, since a couple days ago is when I tried the first time. Didn't take long at all, and it didn't take long to explain. So yeah, I thought it was very intuitive. It was easier to use than TD Ameritrade API. It was easy for me to figure out. I thought it was well documented. All this documentation seems great. I like all of the code examples that are provided. It shows example requests and responses, and it shows you how to code it in multiple programming languages, like 6 different ones. So whatever language you use, easy to get set up and running. I like that there's a paper trading sandbox and a brokerage. And I also like all the options trading features. So you don't get that with Alpaca. They only have common stock support. And I liked it better than TD Ameritrade in that it was easier to use. And then also, I've talked about Robinhood private API, right? And that, can change anytime. So you can't really rely on using a private API to build your trading system. So I like this is officially supported. It's meant to be used. Their API is well documented, fully documented, and it's meant to be used in this fashion. So for anyone that's ordering tons of options, I think getting a subscription to these guys makes a lot of sense. And then last comment, I did issue a support request actually right before this video, because I forgot how to log into my account, right? And so I emailed in just to see what the response time would be, and a guy responded me in like 15 minutes. So I was very impressed with that. I thought it might take like a day or something, but I got a response very immediately and was up and running again. So so far the support seems really good as well. And the founder, Jason, who reached out to me, is amazing. Like, he set me up personally, and for a busy guy like that to take time out of his day to promote his platform, I thought was really impressive. So very impressed with Tradier. I'm actually not sure why not more people aren't talking about this, because it seems really cool. It seems very powerful. But yeah, everyone's talking about Robinhood and stuff like that, which doesn't even have an officially supported API. So yeah, I'm endorsing Tradier here. I'm going to try it more. And I'm not just saying that because I've tried basically every API on this channel. I'm a neutral person, just learning as I go and sharing. So I'm willing to try, any brokerage API out there, or any mechanism of obtaining financial data, and we'll just give my honest opinion on them. I didn't run into any problems yet, so it seems pretty good. There's probably fancier UIs out there, I would say, but since I'm using it for an automated trading bot, right, I don't really care about the UI that much. I'm just executing orders and getting raw data, so I don't need like a slick mobile app or anything like Robinhood. So yeah, just my honest feedback. So I like it enough to where I'll spend some more time in this, and I actually opened a brokerage account and deposited some money. And so the things I want to explore is first, for the viewer, Stefan, who talked to me, who wants to know how to order iron condors, I want to try this multi-leg order example, because I haven't seen that in a lot of other APIs. So this lets you buy to open and sell options, to construct an iron condor, for instance. And then I also want to try this streaming data in a follow-up video as well. So they have this HTTP streaming and WebSocket streaming as well. So I'm very excited to continue trying this out and exploring what it has to offer. So thanks a lot to the folks from Tradier. If you want to sign up, you can use my code PTL2020, help support the channel. And yeah, I hope you learned something, and stay tuned for the next video.